We're joined now by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Roland Otaru. Professor Otaru, President Tinubu just declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, enacting the provision of Section 305 following what he calls imminent violence in that part of the country. What do you make of this development?
Thank you for having me this evening. Well, I listened with rapt attention the broadcast of Mr. President, and I discovered that having regard to the mandatory provisions of Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the President has the power to declare a state of emergency by issuing a proclamation, which he has just done, and same has already been gazetted. All he needs to do now at this time is to forward same to the President of the National Assembly for the National Assembly to take a decision on it. I think he has that discretion. He has exercised his discretion having regard to what he considered as breakdown of law and order in Rivers State. And we are all witnesses to the breakdown of law and order in Rivers State. And this morning, from what I also read in the news, I discovered that there have been explosions here and there. So I think in order to save the situation, in order to save lives and property of the people of Rivers State, he has that power. And of course, I would say he has that jurisdiction to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State.
According to him, the judiciary...
For the peace and order, yes.
Indeed, Senior Advocate, according to the President, the judiciary isn't affected by this arrangement, but we understand that the executive has been dissolved, with the Vice Admiral now taking the position of a military administrator. This is reminiscent of what has happened way before now. How do you see this impact on the democratic progress we have made in over 25 years?
Well, the issue of democracy cannot be sacrificed on the altar of the security of the state. Well, do you know that the judiciary occupies a pivotal position in the system? And so that is why the judiciary is not affected, because the judiciary, as the third arm of the government, is apolitical. And that is, I'm sure, that is why the President has to leave the judiciary. At any time when a state of emergency is declared, the judiciary is always left untouched. And you know that the executive, the legislature, these are political structures, and as a result, they have to be affected. And you know, because of the problem between the executive and the legislature in Rivers State, that is why there have been insecurity in the state. But the judiciary is apolitical, is neutral in this scenario. So I think the President was right, an absolute right, I would say, to leave the judiciary at this time.
So the provision of law of the Constitution provides that this happens for the next 6 months. What happens thereafter?
Well, he has appointed an administrator to carry out the functions of, quote unquote, the functions of the governor of the state. And so there is no stalemate. There is an administrator, and that is in accordance too with the provisions of the Constitution. So he is right to do that, and they will see the state will continue to function. And it is to maintain law and order in the state. It is my take that having appointed an administrator for the state, there will be no stalemate in the state. The state will continue to function. The civil service is there. He has not suspended the civil service, so they continue to act and perform their respective functions in the state.
How does this impact on the Supreme Court judgment that withheld, the resources, the financial resources to the state in the aftermath of what we understood to be the challenges the former governor faced?
Sorry, come again?
I'm asking how this new development impacts on the Supreme Court judgment that seized financial resources to River State?
Well, I think the federal government will know what to do. But you know, for instance, that they might... Sorry?
Please go ahead, Senior Advocate.
Very good, very good. I think, well, the government knows what, the federal government knows what to do. Although with the new situation now, I think the federal government knows what to do, either to go back, or the state rather, to go back to the Supreme Court so that they can, maybe what I would consider the slip route to release to the state from the federation account. Because if money is not released to the state from the federation account, then the new administrator will not have money to spend.
Indeed.
I think they will, the parties, especially the federal government, will know how to go around it.
Thank you for your contribution, Professor Roland Otaru, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Glad to have you join us this hour.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for having me.
Now let's turn to Port Harcourt and River State, where senior correspondent Uche Okoro is standing by. Uche, how is Port Harcourt reacting to this breaking news?